Ladies and gentlemen, the environmental impact of plastic is not good. We all know that. And so do the sustainable people who are next up on stage. Sören Meissner is now presenting on the environmental impact of different materials. Welcome on stage, Sören.
Yeah, so hello everybody, and yeah, great to be able to welcome all of you here today. My name is Sören Meissner from the German manufacturer of the Sustainable People, and I would like to speak with you about poop bags. More precisely, we will look at the question which material is the most eco-friendly. Also taking a look at available materials and the environmental impact it has. Do you really always remove dog feces? Now this was the question of a survey conducted by a German pet magazine last year, and more than 30,000 persons took part, and the results are quite something. So only 40% of the participants stated that they always clean up after their dogs. However, this does not mean that the other 60% do not do it at all. So it always depends on the circumstances. So some, as you see, only pick up the poo in public areas. Some do it when it's in the bushes, and others only if they have a bag with them. And 13% mentioned they never pick up the poo. So now, when you see this, you may ask yourself, okay, nice survey, but what does it actually mean? Well, it means quite a bit. So it helped us a lot to make a realistic calculation how many poop bags are used in Germany every year. And based on the survey we saw before, we calculated that dog waste is only removed in about 54% of all cases. So this figure is the sum of the 40% we saw before for the people always doing it, and the others which only pick up the poo under certain conditions. So we also know from an own survey that in Germany about 2.1 poop bags are used every day by the dog owners. And we know, of course, that there are 10.5 million dogs living in Germany. And when we take all these figures and multiply this with 365 days, then we know that about 4.4 billion, an incredible figure, 4.4 billion poop bags are used in Germany every year. And this huge number clearly shows us how important it is to look closer at available materials and their environmental impact. So to our knowledge, there has been no comprehensive study on this to date, so even though the topic is extremely relevant. Yeah, key question, which material is the most eco-friendly? Now, it all depends, is the answer we can give, because there are various, we call it impact indicators, that can be used in order to approach an answer to this rather simple question actually. And you can see some of them are listed here. Depending on the material used and the weighting of the different impact indicators, the results that you will get are definitely mixed. But first of all, let's take a closer look at what materials are actually available for the production of poop bags. So here you see, first of all, as you know, there are many different materials used in the production of poop bags. And to make it a little clearer, now we have divided it into the most common materials into three main groups. So as you can see, group 1 is polyethylene, short form is PE. Group 2, bioplastics, and then we have paper. And don't worry, it looks a lot, but we will go step by step on the next slides. So yeah, first of all, group 1. This is polyethylene, short form PE, base materials, and we are starting with virgin PE, so normal plastic. This material is used most frequently on this planet for the production of poop bags, and it has many advantages from an eco point of view. Because crude oil is used as a raw material to produce it, and a lot of energy is also necessary during production. But there is also a waste problem, because if such bags end up in the environment, which we see many times, only a very slow reduction to small pieces takes place, which is happening due to mechanical stress and solar radiation. And after many years, microplastics will remain in the environment. So that's truly bad. So poor dog. And on the other side, if such bags are disposed of correctly, so meaning in the residual waste with waste incineration at the end of the stage, it has at least one positive aspect, because PE has a high heating value and it burns residue-free to CO2 and water in the incineration plant. And also, you may consider it positive that it's very light, only 2 grams per bag, so that reduces, of course, emissions during transport, which is also something to be considered. Okay, so another PE-based material is called oxo, in short. So this is normal plastic with special additives. And these are typically metal salts, so these additives accelerate the decomposition process in the environment and under sun exposure. So also here, what is happening, microplastics remain in the environment if such bags end up there. And another huge problem with oxo bags is the fact that some suppliers of such poop bags are misleadingly praising these bags as biodegradable. But we definitely know they are not, because I said it's microplastics happening. And by this way, end consumers are being deceived, so they think it's biodegradable. And this can also lead to the spread of microplastics. So, also this fact has been confirmed by various scientists, as we also show in our sources, and we got a lot of more. And that's also the reason why the distribution is banned in the European Union since about 3 years now. So still we see some suppliers are still offering them, also here in Germany. Okay, now here we also have a short clip that you can see. A product made from oxo-degradable plastic. And as you can see, under mechanical stress, a reduction to small pieces is taking place. So that is microplastics. And that's what's left in the environment. All right, so having said this now, jumping to the next material, which is a blend of normal plastic and so-called thermoplastic starch. Short form is TPS. And as we know, polyethylene is not biodegradable, also not when being mixed with TPS. Even though TPS is basically degradable, but that mixture with PE does not mean that it leads to PE becoming completely degradable. So also here, just like PE and oxo we saw before, microplastics remain if such bags end up in the environment. And also here you have some suppliers who do this misleading communication, which is really a problem we have to be aware of. Yeah, but now having spoken about the, let's say, the bad guys, let's look at the better side of PE. So speaking about recyclate. Well, it's basically comparable with virgin PE, but there are some key and very important differences. So for one thing, there are significantly less CO2 emissions compared to virgin PE. And also it's resource saving, because no new crude oil is being used and has to be extracted for the recyclate. And it also contributes to resource saving and a reduction of waste, because it helps to promote a sustainable economy. Now, PE recyclate is also not biodegradable, but since poop bags, as we know, are usually disposed of in the residual waste with incineration afterwards, Also bags made from PE, they score with a high heating value we discussed before and the clean burning in the incineration plant. So that's just another advantage when we look at PE recyclate. And as you see here on the right, there are two types of recyclate. So the one is post-industrial. We call it, or the short form is PIR. And then there is so-called post-consumer recyclate. Short form is PCR. We will look at this closer, of course. So now it's, first of all, PIR. This is PE from recycled production waste or residues, which are generated during industrial production. For example, offcuts or rejects. And in this case, PE is recycled for the very first time in its life, when you want to say. So the material has a higher quality compared to post-consumer recyclate, which we will look at afterwards. So it's suitable for products with higher material requirements. And for PIR, there is also a reduced likelihood, so it's less likely that such raw materials are disposed of in landfill sites. It has similar CO2 savings compared to PCR, but very often PIR is recycled anyway. So the room for improvement is less compared to PCR, where we look at later. So as a conclusion, you can say PIR from an eco point of view is definitely much more favorable compared to virgin PE, but less favorable compared to PCR. We will look at this right now. So this is PCR, that's PE from end consumer waste. And in other words, that means that's plastic waste from private households, industry or trade in their role as end consumers. And in the case of PCR, primary plastics are substituted, and those that have already been used at least once are used again in products. So this really makes an important contribution to resource conservation. And the use of such a material is also so important because the proportion of post-consumer waste, plastics processing is still really low. So in Germany, for example, the country here, this value is only 9.1%, as also you can see now on the next slide. So the proportion of PE recyclate from post-consumer waste and plastics processing, 2021, just 9.1. And on the other side, virgin PE, based on fossil raw materials, still accounts for by far the largest share of the total processings at a volume of approximately 84%. 84. And this shows us why the use of PCR is so important and why we need to bring this figure up. So it urgently needs to be increased. So we also brought you a picture here, a close-up picture showing a poop bag which is made from at least 80% post-consumer recyclate. And as you can see, the material has small dots, right? So when you look closer, so it looks a little bit dirty. With a view to this material, this is absolutely normal. So when you see something like this, that's a good hint to show you, okay, that seems to be post-consumer recyclate. Yeah, so in general, the recycling of used plastic products definitely gives value to the waste involved and prevents material from ending up in landfills. And if any PE-based materials need to be incinerated, and we know poop bags need to be incinerated, then from our point of view, it should definitely be made from a very high proportion of PCR, because such products, so for example, poop bags made from this material, they might be the best fossil energy sources we have. So from our point of view, PCR is the most eco-friendly type of material among all the PE-based materials we have looked at now. And by the way, material or the product can be awarded with a very reputable Blue Angel label, so it's one of the most demanding eco-label we have on this planet. Okay, so having said this, now we jump to group 2, bioplastics. And the first one we look at is a type of bioplastic which is bio-based but not biodegradable. So this material has a proportion of renewable raw materials, or it even consists entirely of these. So one example for this could be green PE, that some of you may know. So in that case, it's made from sugarcane. And an obvious advantage is the reduced dependence on fossil resources and the CO2 reduction compared to other materials, like virgin PE that we've seen before. And in the case of utilization of agricultural byproducts, so for example, rejects, then this also means resource efficiency. So that's another plus, if you want to put it like that. But here comes, of course, again, a but. The material is just as problematic as PE if a bag like this ends up in the environment because it's not biodegradable. You may ask yourself why, but in fact it's something we have learned many years ago already, and some of us maybe in school in chemistry. The decisive factor for decomposition of a material is not the source or the raw material of the source material, but it's the material structure that is decisive. So that's why these materials are not biodegradable. And next one, also quite interesting to look at closer, is polyvinyl alcohol. So this is water soluble and can have a very fast reduction to small pieces, and it's biodegradable. But from our point, it is not suitable for use in public dispensers because it's not weather resistant. So, I mean, there is also a risk of soaking during longer transport of very, very moist dog waste and in the waste bin. So, I mean, if you just imagine you carry such a bag which is water soluble and it rains, yeah, then you may know this is not the best solution. So also PVA has a slightly higher material usage than PE, and it's currently hardly available on the market. We also, on the right side, we summarize some interesting thought, because flushing dog poop down the toilet is not advisable from our point of view. Some may think, okay, it's water-soluble bag, I can flush it down the toilet. We wouldn't recommend, because even if the poop bag itself is water-soluble, we need to consider that dog poo itself may contain pathogens. So, for example, a warm parasite called Toxocara, I also just learned recently this name, that is not necessarily killed during purification in wastewater treatment plants. So it can be a potential danger to humans, especially to children, if the sewage sludge is not incinerated, but later on spread on fields as fertilizer. So in Switzerland, for example, already more than 20 years ago, they have forbidden this, so to use it as a fertilizer for fields. And in Germany, it's not yet generally banned. After all, 80% of sewage sludge from all municipal wastewater treatment plants are incinerated in Germany 2 years ago. But there is still a residual risk, and from our point, that's not really worth it to take this risk. And there are also other reasons why we don't think that's the best solution. So now, looking at a material which is biodegradable as well, but it's solely certified in accordance with the European standard DIN EN 13432. So it's carrying the OK Compost Home logo, sorry, not OK Compost Home, OK Compost Industrial logo at the top right. This material is guaranteeing as biodegradable only in an industrial composting plant. So during the certification process, the material is tested at temperatures of approximately 60 degrees Celsius. So considering this high temperature, it does not mean that the process also works at low temperature conditions. So such materials are made, definitely made for industrial composting, but, here again the but, poop bags are never sent to industrial composting plants. That is because they have to be put in the residual waste, as we learned, because they may contain pathogens and the poop has to be burned. But now, speaking about OK Compost Home, this is very interesting from our point of view. This material is home compostable and certified in accordance with the OK Compost Home seal. And in accordance with the certification scheme that is happening, at ambient temperatures of about 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, at least 90% of the material must be degraded within 12 months. So if a poop bag is awarded the OK Compost Home seal, then this bag is biodegradable even at low temperatures, which are also reached in the local environment, like here in Germany. I mean, hoping that we get higher temperatures soon as well here. Now, from our experiences, this seal is the best indicator to ensure that degradation works if such bags end up in the environment, because of the certification scheme mentioned before, and even if the conditions in the home compost, of course, are a little bit harsher compared to the open environment, I mean, obviously. Okay, so also here, you may still ask yourself, okay, nice to know, but why do we actually need this? So the good news is that poop bags have reduced the dog waste problems in many places in recent years. But at the same time, a plastic waste problem arises since most of the poop bags used are made of normal plastic, so virgin PE. And what's really problematic is the fact that, of course, dog owners like to go for a walk with their dog in the environment, so in green spaces. And that's a place where it's particularly harmful if such a bag will be put there. And in 2015 already, we therefore started a project called the Poop Bag Map, what is probably the largest study to date on the subject of poop bags in the environment. So it was an interactive map where users could enter the places where they found poop bags in the environment. And the results were really heavy, we can say. So as you can see, the last point, over 5,000 bags retrieved in Hamburg alone, and this is an extract from the poop map. So it clearly shows how big the problem really is. And here's a picture showing you the degradation process of bags which are OK Compost Home certified. So the biodegradation takes place through so-called oxidation and hydrolysis processes. Jumped too quickly. So microorganisms such as bacteria, they use the material as food and energy source. And after the degradation process, the only thing or degradation products that remain are water, CO2, mineral salts, and biomass. And that's it. So now we also have a video clip here for you. But before I click on play, first of all, this clip shall show you the degradation process of one of our biodegradable poop bags, so from our company. But please note that the bag which you will see in the clip is filled with dog excrement, so dog feces. So we wanted to create the most authentic test conditions. So I admit there may be nicer sites, but yeah, you will see it. So here you see it. The bag was placed in the bushes somewhere in Hamburg, beginning of May. And you can see the degradation process works very well. And only 3 months later, approximately, so mid of July, 20th of July, only a small part of the knot was left. So here you see a little bit, and later on it was gone completely. So that's really, really quick. Okay, so having said all of this, now we also look at the last group of materials, which is paper. So generally speaking, paper is a good raw material. It is particularly useful if a certain plastic product can be replaced one-on-one with recycled paper in terms of quantity. So if you see, I brought you for an example here. If you take this small roll core, which you will often find in these small rolls of poop bags, in many cases these roll cores are made from simple normal plastic, so virgin PE. But it's possible definitely to replace such a small product with cardboard, nearly one-on-one in terms of quantity. So that is a good example. But for poop bags, we don't think that recycled paper is ideal. And that's because also such poop bags need to have a certain thickness to ensure stability and protection against dog feces. So as you know, paper soaks through quickly when it is exposed to moisture, for example, rain, which you can have, of course, when you walk out with your dog. And because with multiple recycling, the stability of paper fibers is decreasing, the addition of fresh fibers is often necessary. And the eco-friendliness of fresh fibers always depends on sustainable forestry, and that is also, let's say, a different topic. So that's not a guarantee. So poop bags made from paper, usually they have a higher environmental impact due to logistics, and now we will take a very close look on that, especially compared to plastic bags. So here you can see the weight of a plastic poop bag and the weight of a paper poop bag in direct comparison. So while a plastic poop bag usually only weighs around 2 grams per piece, this paper poop bag here that we took on this example picture weighs around 20 grams. So 10 times heavier. And when we know this, that they are so much heavier compared to, for example, a poop bag made from normal PE or from bioplastics, and they are completely oversized for the disposal of dog waste. And this higher material usage is equal with a greater environmental impact, of course. So you have to imagine fewer bags can be transported and stored per shipping unit. Because of this, then you have a higher logistic effort, and this also means higher CO2 emissions and all that which comes with it, compared to poop bags made from bioplastic, for example. All right, so now here we are back at the key question: which material is the most eco-friendly among poop bags? So after years of intensive work on the subject, we have come to the conclusion that from our point of view, these two materials are the most eco-friendly for the production of poop bags. The both materials share the first place because, as we learned, it all depends from various factors. Post-consumer recycled plastic waste is the best choice if CO2 emissions are rated as most important impact indicator. But of course on conditions that the bags are always disposed of correctly, so in the residual waste. And the higher the proportion of PCR, the better it is, because that's just the best solution. And the certification we spoke about is the Blue Angel. And on the other hand, we have home compostable bioplastics being the best choice if biodegradation is rated as the most important impact indicator. So considering the littering problem we had before. So even if one day we succeed in eliminating intentional littering, which is unfortunately rather unlikely, it will most probably never be possible to completely avoid unintentional littering. So as explained, biodegradation must work at low temperature conditions and at significant speed. So from our point of view, in that case, the best way to ensure this is the OK Compostome certification. Okay, so now if you want to see the difference between the two materials we have now rated as the winners, you're most welcome to check this out at our booth. The good news, it's just 30 meters walking distance from here. This direction, you can follow me. I'm also here in the networking lounge afterwards to speak with you if you like. And then I'm very, very thankful for your patience. I'm not sure I made it within 30 minutes, but thanking you a lot for your attention and wishing you a lot of fun, increasing your contacts and findings. Thank you.
Sören, thank you very much for this